Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes.
Okay, nice. Hare Krishna. How are you doing?
Yeah, Prabhuji, we are doing fine. How about you, Prabhuji?
I am okay.
So today also, Prabhuji, you'll be going in the evening program for Bhagavad.
Yeah, that's the plan. Let's see. Yeah, I'm happy at least Harika Mataji turned on the video. She disappointed again, but that's okay. Let me offer prayers and then we'll start. Om Ajnanatimrandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gatamahim Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapakamalan Sri Guru Vaishnavamsya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Samadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishaka Anvitamsya Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarane Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyev Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Koratrishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpati Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Let me share the screen. Okay. I was expecting Rishabha Prabhu to read today, but I think he's not available. Some want to read today? Let me select. Yeah. Harika Mataji, would you like to read?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 27, Understanding Material Nature. Text 1. The personality of Godhead Kapila continued. When the living entity is thus unaffected by the modes of material nature, because he is unchanging and doesn't claim proprietorship, he remains apart from the reactions of the modes, although adding in a material body, just as the sun remains aloof from its reflection on water. Text 2. When the soul is under the spell of material nature and false ego, identifying his body as the self, he becomes absorbed in material activities, and by the influence of false ego, he thinks that he is the proprietor of everything. Text 3. The conditioned soul, therefore, transmigrates into different species of life, higher and lower, because of his association with the modes of material nature. Unless he is relieved of material activities, he has to accept this position because of his faulty work. Text 4. Actually, a living entity is transcendental to material existence, but because of his mentality of lording it over material nature, his material existence condition doesn't cease, and just as in a dream, he is affected by all sorts of disadvantages. Text 5. It is the duty of every conditioned soul to engage his polluted consciousness, which is now attached to the material enjoyment, in very serious devotional service with detachment. Thus, his mind and consciousness will be under full control. Text 6. One has to become faithful by practicing the controlling process of the yoga system and must elevate himself to the platform of unalloyed devotional service by chanting and hearing about me. Text 7. In executing devotional service, one has to see every living entity equally, without enmity towards, without enmity towards anyone, yet without intimate connections with anyone. One has to observe celibacy, be grave, and execute his eternal activities, offering the results to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 8. For his income, a devotee should be satisfied with what he earns without great difficulty. He should not eat more than what is necessary. He should live in a secluded place and always be thoughtful, peaceful, friendly, compassionate, and self realized. Text 9. One's seeing power should be increased through knowledge of spirit and matter, and one should not unnecessarily identify himself with the body and thus become attracted by bodily relationships. Text 10. One should be situated in the transcendental position beyond the stages of material consciousness and should be aloof from all other conceptions of life. Thus, realizing freedom from false ego, one should see his own self just as he sees the sun in the sky. Text 11. A liberated soul realizes the absolute personality of Godhead, who is transcendental and who is manifest as a reflection even in the false ego. He is the support of material cause and he enters into everything. He is absolute, one without a second, and he is the eyes of the illusionary energy. Text 12. The presence of Supreme Lord can be realized just as the sun is realized first as a reflection on water and again as a sun reflection on the wall of a room, although the sun itself is situated in the sky. Text 13. The self realized soul is thus reflected first in the three, threefold ego and then in the body, senses, and mind. Text 14. Although a devotee appears to be meshed in five material elements, the objects of material enjoyment, the material senses, and material mind and intelligence, he is understood to be awake and to be freed from the false ego. Text 15. The living entity can vividly feel his existence as the seer, but as the seer, but because of the disappearance of the ego during the state of deep sleep, he falsely takes himself to be lost, like a man who has lost his fortune and feels distressed, thinking himself to be lost. Text 16. When by material, sorry, when by mature understanding one can realize his individuality, then the situation he accepts under false ego becomes manifest to him. Text 17. Sri Devahuti inquired, my dear Brahmana, does material nature even give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to other eternally, how is their separation possible? Text 18. As there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. Text 19. Hence, even though he is the passive performer of all activities, how can there be freedom for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? Text 20. Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again, since its cause has not ceased. Text 21. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service unto me and thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me. By thus executing one's prescribed duties, there will be no reaction and one will be freed from the contamination of matter. Text 22. The devotional service has to be performed strongly in perfect knowledge and with transcendental vision. One must be strongly renounced and must engage in austerity and perform mystic yoga in order to be firmly fixed in the self absorption. Text 23. The influence of material nature has covered the living entity, and thus it is as if the living entity were always in a blazing fire. But by the process of seriously discharging devotional service, this influence can be removed, just as wooden sticks which cause a fire are themselves consumed by it. Text 24. By discovering the faultiness of his desiring to lord it over material nature, and by therefore giving it up, the living entity becomes independent and stands in his own glory. Text 25. In the dreaming state, one's consciousness is almost covered, and one sees many inauspicious things, but when he is awakened and fully conscious, such inauspicious things cannot bewilder him. Text 26. The influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul, even though he engages in material activities, because he knows the truth of the Absolute and his mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 27. When a person thus engages in a devotional service and self realization for many years and births, he becomes completely reluctant to enjoy any one of the material planets, even up to the highest planet, which is known as Brahmaloka. He becomes fully developed in consciousness. Text 28 and 29. My devotee actually becomes self realized by my unlimited causeless mercy, and thus, when freed from all doubts, he steadily progresses towards his destined abode, which is directly under the protection of my spiritual energy of unadulterated bliss. That is the ultimate perfectional goal of the living entity. After giving up the present material body, the mystic devotee goes to the transcendental abode and never comes back. Text 30. When a perfect yogi's attention is no longer attracted to the byproducts of mystic powers, which are manifestations of the external energy, his progress, Prabhuji, little bit, can you please go? Yeah. His progress towards me becomes unlimited, and thus power of death cannot overcome him.
Yep. Thank you very much, Harika Mataji. It was very nice. Everything was nice. Maybe text so that it would be a very nice narration.
Prabhuji, yeah. It's very difficult to open the mind towards the spiritual soul and understand the concept of soul and body. So because of Prabhupada,
Yeah,
at least understand and follow the regulative principles and chanting, which saves us and leaves our material nature and makes us progress towards Krishna.
yeah, yeah. Well said. Is my network good? I mean, are you guys able to hear me clearly?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you once again. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So let's begin from the first verse, a kind of a recap. So here, if you see the sequence of the chapters, let's say from 5, no, let me put 25. 25 is glories of devotional service. In devotional service, yeah, because you're already very much familiar with devotion, bhakti marg, bhakti yoga and all. So we see that the success of devotional is to become transcendental, to become spiritual, and but then interestingly here we see that the topics that are discussed are the fundamental principles of material nature, understanding the material nature. These two chapters are helping us to bring a context, where we are, who we are, and what is possible from here. Is it a gone case because we see so many people suffering and we see ourselves suffering? Is that the end? After all, what is this material nature? Why it has so much power? Is there a way out? So all these things are discussed in chapter 26, 27. In chapter 26, we have discussed through the elements that are once again create this Mahat Tattva and the 25 elements, how is the time influencing all this. And then after the ingredients, yeah, we now try to understand the science behind that. This is what is in the 27th chapter. So in that here it says, the first opening verse is when, this is very nice motivation. When the living entity is thus unaffected by the modes of material nature, means this is, we are talking about pure devotees, because he is unchanging and does not claim proprietorship. Why? Because he's just a servant of the Lord. So he is not the proprietor but the servant of the proprietor. He remains apart from the reactions of the modes. This is because of this understanding that everything belongs to the Lord and every action of mine is to please the Lord by practicing a karma philosophy. So he is aloof from that. Although abiding in a material body, just as the sun remains aloof from its reflection on earth, on water. So in this chapter there are a couple of analogies or reference through which metaphors, we can say, through which we can understand or appreciate our identity, real identity and covered identity. So in the first verse there is this mention about it's mentioned about a person. A person who is detached from the modes of material nature remains just like the sun reflected on water. Means a person who is detached remains just like the sun. See, it's very nice. We can see the sun on surface of the water, and I think there is an example further explained that if the water is moving, or as the reflection of the sun appears to be on the water, but it is many millions of miles away. So this, when the water is moving, we see that okay, the waves are wonderful and the sun shines and glares and it looks a beautiful sight, but it doesn't mean that all this is affecting the sun. So when the sun is reflected on water, the movement of water or the coolness or unsteadiness of the water cannot affect the sun. But what it appears is that okay, sun is also moving. The example similarly is also given to what is it, a moon reflected in a water pot. A moon, just imagine when someone is carrying this water pot, or even sometimes we see, right, our own, when we are traveling, when we are going by a train, and we see from the window, and when we see from the window, we see that, okay, wherever I'm going, the moon is also following. Of course, sun, we would feel the same with the sun, but it's so bright we can't see that. But we have this feeling that the moon is moving with us. But in reality, moon is not moving because we are moving. So a person who is detached with the influence of this illusory energy, he is transcendental and he is on the right marga, which is Bhakti Yoga. So one engaged in Bhakti Yoga process is Nirguna. Guna means we know Guna, Triguna, the nature. Triguna, the mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. These are three gunas. And one who practices Bhakti Yoga, he is Nirguna. Nirguna is also addressed to the Lord because he is also transcendental. He is not affected by the influence of any modes of material nature. And then in this next, here Prabhupada is mentioning what is avikara and vikara. Avikara. Vikar means something that is prone or affected, uh, transforming. So let's say if we have a nice clay dough, and then if you start making a deforming or that is called vikara. So that sometimes I mean maybe this is also a reason why they say in Ayurveda there is this vikar that is inside our body which is not normal. A vikar is something which is not changing. And here is reference that each and every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and thus his eternal position is to cooperate uh, or to dovetail his energy with the Supreme Lord. As long as this process is going on, that avikar state of a living entity is still going on. That is his unchanging position. But as soon as he employs his energy and activities for sense gratification, this change of position is called avikar. Is called vikar. So, and in this further there is elaboration. He comes to this position which is without change, because this is his natural duty. What is his natural duty? To practice devotional service under the guidance of spiritual master. But what happens is because we are carried away with our own interests, so we don't accept a guru, and because of that, we are not practicing. But in reality, if we do, if we know our original position is one of rendering service to the Lord, bhakti yogena bhaktya, when one becomes detached from material attraction and engages fully in devotional service, that is changelessness. Then it doesn't matter whether we are getting old or whether we are getting position or whether we are affected very badly by whatever recession, economy, attrition, whatever all these things. As long as when we identify that I am just a servant of the Lord, and if the Lord want me to engage in service in this way or that way, then we are unaffected. We are changeless. Here the word akartravat means karta means doing. Akartravat means not doing anything for sense gratification. When one does not, when one does something at his own risk, there is a sense of proprietorship and therefore a reaction. So even sometimes we struggle, if we are given a task, if we are given a service, and then we started doing it with our heart, with our soul, with our mind, with our body, everything, and then we get entangled in it, because in the end the service that should actually give us bliss, in the end we start thinking, what is this? I have been doing that, I have been doing this, I'm doing so many things, but still um, I'm not satisfied. Why? Because when we think that I demand now bhakti out of it, because I'm practicing, I demand some effect of it, which means a proprietor is there. A master is doing that. A proprietor is engaging something and he is expecting a result of it, because he is doing, and that's why he thinks that it's. But a devotee doesn't, because he understands that it is Krishna and Krishna is the main proprietor. I'm just serving what he is doing, and by doing that, we attain freedom. I think there is a later verse that also speaks about it. By changelessness and by not claiming the proprietorship of activities, one can immediately situate himself in the transcendental position in which one is not touched by the modes of material nature, just as the reflection of sun is unaffected by the water. Yeah. So that's for the first verse, and yeah, then when we look into the next one, when the soul is under the spell of material natures. First verse is telling about a soul not affected. by the material nature, and the second one is telling about the effects of material nature. Yes, when the soul is under the spell of material nature and false ego, identifying his body as self, hmm? identifying his body as self, he becomes absorbed in material activities. And by the influence of false ego, he thinks that he is the proprietor of everything. So, what is the driving factor? Why we think to be the lords of everything, whatever we are doing? Yeah, even a beggar is thinking that I am proprietor of the place where I am begging. He says, this is my zone, my area, my place. Why? Because he is so much attached, and because of what? Because of this false ego. Why? Because the living entity has no independence. Yeah, this is what is clearly said. We say we are living beings and we should have freedom, but here we see, actually the conditioned soul is forced to act under pressure. Just imagine if there is nothing, then it would have been different. But we are being pushed hard in the material world by material energy. Just imagine, like if I want to move my car from here to the other spot, I'm using energy. So whether the car desires it or not, I don't know whether car wants to move on. Yeah, the soul, ideally soul doesn't want, because soul wants to serve the Lord, but because he is in this world, he is also having the effects of this energies of this world, and in that way the living entity has no independence. Amazing, right? We always hear that there is a free will, but what is the context of this? When he is under the direction of the Supreme Lord, he is free. But when under the impression that he is satisfying his senses, he engages in sense gratificatory activities. He is actually under the spell of material nature. So this means that so-called doership is actually a drama, that because we wanted something, we are put in that scene, and then we are dancing, but we are also claiming that it is because of my desire, because of my effort, because of everything that I am affecting doing that. He is actually under the spell of material nature. In Bhagavad Gita, the reference is Prakriti Kriyamani. It is the activities are affected by the modes of material nature we have acquired. Guna refers to the qualities of nature. He is under the quality of nature, but he falsely thinks that he is the proprietor, which means whatever we are doing, it is because of some energy acting upon us, which means also that we should not think it is I solely am doing this. This false sense of proprietorship can be avoided simply by engaging oneself in the devotional service under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his bona fide representative. What is the reference given here? Arjuna. Arjuna didn't want to fight. He was thinking, hey, this violence is not good, and so many things he was thinking, because he was putting himself in the proprietorship. Yeah, just imagine, same. If you are sitting on the chariot and if you are the master of the chariot, what you will do? You think you are fully independent, you are the master of everything, and whatever you have to control, you are the control freak of that moment. But there is the charioteer, Krishna. When we ask the Lord to enter and then help us to drive us properly, which means either the Lord or his representative, when they enter into our life, then our chariot, our cart goes in the right direction. Only thing is, instead of lording over, here the spirit is engaging our senses in the service of the Lord. He fought, but he was actually freed from the reactions of fighting. So by thus engaging in the service, though acts may look same, the results are different. That is very, very difficult. If you go to a scientist and say, you add A and B, and he will say you will get C. But if you say you add A and B, you get D, then he says C and D should be same. No, they are different. Here, why? Because it is this. It's not under the influence of matter that we can say. It is a transcendental dimension through which we understand A plus B results to D. That is the difference between liberation and condition. A conditioned soul may be very good and act in the mode of goodness, but still he is conditioned under the spell of material nature. A devotee, however, acts completely under the direction of Supreme Lord. Thus his actions may not appear to be very high quality to the common man, but the devotee has no responsibility. And then how to revive? Here the conditions are therefore transmigrates into different species of life, higher and lower, because of his association with the modes of material nature. Based on the interests, there are different house. Just like if someone is um, having appetite for non-vegetarian, he will go to a non-vegetarian restaurant. If a person is a garden lover, uh, he will go to, what is it called? Uh, Not a beer garden, but some kind arrangement where there is nature he can or she can enjoy. So it is based on these desires through which there are different facilities that are there, and engaging in those facilities, one is constantly, repeatedly going through different species of life, higher and lower, because of his association with the nature. But unless he is relieved of the material activities, he has to accept this position because of his faulty work. What is that faulty work? To even do that, to even kind of thinking that, yeah, let me enjoy. It is mentioned, sad asad yonim. Yeah, it is clearly stated here. Sad asad mishra yonishu. This means that one may take birth in a very high family, or he may take his birth in higher planets among the demigods for his so-called pious activities in the world. But this work is also faulty because it does not give liberation. Hmm. To take birth in a nice place or high family does not mean that one avoids undergoing the material tribulations. So what are the four problems that will be there? Birth, death, old age, disease will be there. A conditioned soul under the spell of material nature cannot understand that any action he performs for sense gratification is faulty, and that only his activities in devotional service to the Lord can give him a release from the reactions of the faulty activities. So, because he does not see such faulty activities, he has to change to different bodies, some high and some low. That is called samsara padavim. We know padavi means position, samsara means material. In material, different positions one go, which means this material world from which there is no release. But, and he says, one who desires material liberation has to turn his activity, and to be underlined, there is no alternative. If we think one fine day, oh man, I'm really fed up of all these things, I have tried so many ways to be happy and there is no hope anymore. What is the only hope is devotional service, right? Because that is the only exit. Just imagine you have wonderful rooms to your house, but there is only one exit. And when the fire, when the house caught fire, hmm, then how can one exit? You may think, oh, there are windows, there are, no, I think there is only one exit, because we try to look up different options, is jnana, vairagya, and all those things. It's literally frustrating. There is only one exit. That exit is devotional service. And then the next explanation is given about dream. A living entity is transcendent to material existence. It is still, my mind still not able to accept this. How is it possible? But because of his mentality of lording over material nature, his material existential condition does not cease, and just as in a dream, he is affected by sorts of disadvantages. What does that mean? So the effect of a dream is given here. Uh, due to different mental conditions. Where is that? Due to different mental conditions in dreams, we are put into advantageous and disadvantageous positions. Similarly, the spirit soul has nothing to do with this material world, but because of his mentality of lording it over, he is put into the position of conditional existence. Dhyayato Vishayan Asya. Vishaya means object of enjoyment. Yeah, Vishaya. This world, this is also material world is also Vishaya. As long as one continues to think that he can enjoy material advantages, he is in the conditioned life. But as soon as he comes to his senses, he develops the knowledge that he is not the enjoyer for the only enjoyer is the Supreme Lord. Lord, he is the beneficiary of all results of sacrifices. So in that understanding, one is successful. He is the actual friend. This is very important. I think there is also later explanation given about in the same thing. Krishna is the actual friend of all living entities. But instead of leaving proprietorship, enjoyment, and actual position as the friend of all living entities to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we claim that we are the proprietors. We claim that we are the enjoyers. And we even think that, hey, I am friend of everyone because I am helping. My mode of goodness is so nice that I have opened hospital, I have opened charity, I have opened these things for the welfare of people. We perform philanthropic work thinking that we are the friends of human society. The question is about, of course, there is a very thin layer between compassion. Compassion, and even if that compassion is in the only bringing to the mode of goodness, that is also not right, not appropriate, because that person is going to higher planets after his death. So we perform philanthropic works thinking that we are the friends of human society. Someone may proclaim himself to be a very good national worker, the best friend of people and of the country, but actually he cannot be the greatest friend of everyone. The only friend is Krishna. One should try to raise the consciousness of the conditioned soul to the platform of understanding that Krishna is his actual friend. So if at all we think that we want to favor anyone, the favor we can do is by preaching, by making them Krishna conscious. If one makes friendship with Krishna, why? Because I as a friend cannot do a lot. Why? Because I myself I have all sorts of conditioning, bad qualities, and with that bad qualities, I won't be able to do the best. Maybe I can do the best of up to my level. Yeah, but Krishna, who is the friend of everyone, yeah, if one turns to him, why can't Krishna provide everything if needed? So this is what. Arousing this consciousness of conditioned soul is the greatest service, not posing oneself as a great friend of another living entity. The same example, our power is limited, but Lord's power is unlimited. There are an unlimited number of living entities and our resources are limited, therefore we cannot be of any real benefit to them. The best service to the people in general is to awaken them to Krishna consciousness. Why? Because Krishna consciousness is the only way for freedom. If at all we want to get freedom, yeah, because we say that I want to be, no one want to be bound. We all want our country should be free, our people should be free, I should be free. All this freedom, whatever we have, that can be achieved only by practicing Krishna consciousness. Thus, this illusory dreaming, a dream of lording it over better nature will vanish. So, though we are not sleeping, we are sleeping in a slumber of thinking that I am the Lord. That is the dream. And now here it comes, the sixth, it is the duty. It is the duty of every conditioned soul to engage his polluted consciousness, which is now attached to material enjoyment, in very serious devotional service. Very serious devotional service with detachment. Thivra. Thus, his mind and consciousness will be under full control. The same thing also comes in the verse 21. Because Devahuti again asks some questions, but the Kapila Muni is telling, thus his mind and consciousness will be under full control. So if we want freedom, the freedom is possible only when we have complete control of ourselves, not complete control of outside us, because it's not at all possible. Everyone is individual, everyone has his own energies, and how much energy do we have to control outside? Rather, we should use that energy to understand how to control ourselves. This false thinking is a result of contemplation on sense enjoyment. When one thinks that he is the best friend to his countrymen, to the society, or to the humanity, and he engages in various nationalistic, philanthropic, and altruistic activities, huh? All that is just so much concentration on sense gratification. The so-called national leader or humanist does not serve everyone. He serves his senses only. That is a fact. But the conditioned soul cannot understand this because he is bewildered by the spell of material nature. Why? It might appear, yes, come on, it is something like among a class of 60 in a classroom. Not everyone is on same level. Same level. There is a topper, rank one, but even that rank one is not absolute. Yeah, maybe in that classes to that level he may be very expert, intelligent in helping, serving in knowledge and exams and everything, but still he is not the best. The so-called, maybe less intelligent people may think, hey, he is the topper, there is no one else. No, but there are so many. Our understanding is not clear. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So it is therefore recommended in this verse that one engages very seriously in devotional service of the Lord. This means that one should not think that he is proprietor, benefactor, friend, or enjoyer. Huh? He should only think that he is the servant of the Lord. That is what is Bhakti Yoga. One should always think that Krishna is the proprietor, Krishna is the enjoyer, Krishna is the friend. Not only should he understand these principles himself, but he should try to convince others and propagate Krishna consciousness. So that is the importance of preaching. Why we are preaching? It's not that we want to have a bigger number of people. It's not that, okay, who is the leader or who is the leading or the top or number one. No, that is not the focus. It is a genuine concern that everyone is ignorant, and to help everyone, help each other. Hmm. That's why this preaching is very important. As soon as one engages in such serious devotional service of the Lord, naturally the propensity to falsely claim lordship over material nature disappears. And this is called vairagya. What is the other meaning of vairagya? Independence, freedom. Whatever we want, whatever we thinking that I want, that is nothing but vairagya. Only when we are in this state of vairagya, then we have complete freedom from the effects of material nature. Instead of being absorbed in so-called material lordship, one engages in Krishna consciousness. That is control of consciousness. The yoga process necessitates controlling the senses. And then there is explanation. Yeah, and there is also example of Vishwamitra, who was trying to control his senses by yoga process, fell victim to Menaka. So it's not easy to have this Ashtanga yoga. There are many such instances. Unless one's mind and consciousness are fully engaged in devotional service, there is always the opportunity for the mind to become occupied with desire for sense gratification. So that is the problem. If we don't, I mean, now we come to a platform that we understand that we should detach. But if we don't use the easiest, sublime way of doing it, but want to give our full energy, it's not going to be easy. One particular point mentioned in this verse is what? Uh, Prasaktam asatam pati. The mind is always attracted by what? By asat. Prasaktam asatam pati. The temporary material existence. Because we have been associated with material nature since time immemorial, we have become accustomed to our attachment. The mind has to be fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Savai manah Krishna padara vindayo. One has to fix the mind and practice. Thus, the seriousness of Bhakti Yoga is stressed in this verse. We are still in the verse 5. Yeah. And then this verse is telling about what is the way of doing it. One has to become faithful by practicing the
Prabhuji, your voice is breaking now.
system. Okay. Now is it better?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, let me try. Yeah, I'm in the waves of network now. So sometimes it shines, sometimes it glooms. So the point emphasized here is the practice of much emphasized. If we do not control our senses, then we are slaves of it. And when we are slaves of our senses, then we are bound. Rather, he said that the yoga is practiced in 8 different stages: yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. And here yama and niyama, controlling process, practicing the controlling by following strict regulations. And asana refers to sitting postures. These help raise one to standard of faithfulness to the devotional service. So yeah. So here bhavena is very important factor in the practice of yoga. Buddha bhava samanvitaha. Bhava means should be absorbed in the thought of love of Krishna. When one knows that Krishna is the supreme Lord, is the source of everything, that everything emanates from him, then one understands the Vedanta aphorism Janmadi Yasya Yata. And then he can become absorbed in bhava, or the preliminary stage of love of Godhead. So yeah, as Rupa Goswami explains in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, how this bhava or preliminary stage of love is achieved. He states that one first of all has to become faithful. Shraddhayanvitaha. Faith is attained by controlling the senses. Faith. Faith is something compared to chastity of a wife. Yeah. So the chastity of the wife is towards her husband is through the means of faith. So he states that one first of all has to become faithful. And faithful in what? To believe in this process. To believe in the signs that controlling senses is the way to attain success. If one doesn't have this faith, in the nectar of instruction there is this, that if one doesn't have faith, it's very very harmful, because utsahat, dhairyat. Yeah, when we want to practice dhairya, it should be fearless. If we have faith, then only it will be. Otherwise, if you have doubts, it doesn't work. Utsaha, enthusiasm can be there when there is no doubt. So this is so important quality, that one has faith, then he can render bhakti yoga. Following the rules and regulations and practicing the sitting postures, or by engaging directly in bhakti yoga. Yeah. So that is also mentioned here. Mat katha shravanena cha. One may come to the standard of faithfulness by following the rules and regulations of yoga, and the same goal can be achieved simply by chanting and hearing about the transcendental activity. Now, what is difficult? To really focus our mind, that it doesn't go left or right, top or bottom, straight or back, to completely absorb our mind on that essence of the Vedanta and absorb in serving the Lord inside our heart is very difficult. on our own strength of controlling the mind, right, is very difficult. But when we are hearing to the katha, when we are doing the chanting of the names of the Lord, the same results can be achieved, which is very, very easy. Therefore, the word Satyena is used here. In this connection, Swami Sridhar comments that Satyena means Nishkapatena, very important, without duplicity. Satya, really, chaste, really, full faith. The impersonalists are full of duplicity. Sometimes they pretend to execute devotional service, but their ultimate idea is to become one with the Supreme. So, because by becoming supreme, they attain that freedom and master, or becoming what you call the supreme enjoyer or proprietor, engaging in such devotion is duplicity. That is called kapata. The Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam does not allow this duplicity. In the beginning of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it is clearly said, Paramo Nirmatsaranam. This treatise, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is meant for those who are completely free from Nirmatsara. Matsara is envy. Nirmatsara is only for those. That's why Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is for very elevated Paramahamsas. The same point is against us here. Unless one is completely faithful to the Supreme Lord and engages himself in the process of hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, there is no possibility of liberation. So whatever we even want, that is only possible when we take up to this process of Ashtanga Yoga is one way, yeah, even authorized, approved. But in this Yuga, the hearing and chanting, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is the most powerful means of attaining that result in a most easiest way. And then from verse number 7 to 10, verse number 7 to 10, there is this all in executing devotional service, one has to see everything. All these are qualities that are given. There are 18 qualities that are mentioned, where Harika Mataji was reading. There is the first thing, Sarva Bhuta Samatvam, equality to all the beings. There is no partialism, there is no caste, there is nothing, or there is, okay, let me favor the kings or the ministers or the presidents are not the kings of only the humans at the cost of killing animals for meat eating or intoxication for that. So in that way, harming nature is not the right approach. A person who practices devotion should have this Sarva Bhuta Samanvita, Samatva, equality to everyone, and then Nirvairina, having no enmity with anyone, and then Prasanga. Prasanga means via medium. Prasanga means no intimate connections. He's not like, okay, he's mine. I want to attach it too much to something. And he should practice brahmacharya, celibacy. Then he should be following mauna, means to be very grave. What people may think is this maunam means to be silent, not opening the mouth, not speaking. Mauna vrata, this is how people see. But why? If we really understand the reason why, it is because a person is so much grave, not just very casual with his life. इस बार नहीं तो कल नहीं तो next साल नहीं तो next janam. No. A devotee is very serious that in this very lifetime I want to achieve that perfection by engaging in the service of the Lord. So he is practices mauna, that he speaks when needed. He doesn't speak casually, unnecessarily. So, and then swadharmena baliyasya, offering results of one's activities to the Lord. Yadricha yo palabdena santushto, satisfaction with what comes of its own accord. This is very, very, very important if we want to lead a simple life. If we really want to lead a simple life, the thought should be of this level. High thinking. What is that high thinking? Let us not endeavor too much for material enjoyment. There is no limit. It is just like pouring, it is like just a pitcher of a bucket which has a hole, and we go there, we go to some place and start collecting it, and by the time we want to enjoy, there is nothing. When we already know the cost of all this effort is of no use, we should understand that the real happiness is granted by the real owner. We may do that, hey, I am also an owner, that's why I'm doing it. No, we are not the owners. But when the Lord is giving, yeah, we see that how the Lord is taking care of trees, plants, animals. We are not pumping air, we are not showering water, rainfall. We are not the one with supplying all the earth, soil, all nutritions that are required. No, the Lord is providing everything. Why can't He provide to humans? Does He has any enmity or envious about humans? Because, oh, enemy, they're also my level. Lord doesn't care. When Lord is taking care of everyone, He can also definitely take care of us, not only the animals, because we are also, after all, beings, and we are also part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Why will He do that? Just like if a father or a parents, they have children, they take care of the child. We are all children of the Lord, so we are also taken care. So, yadrachyo palabdena santushtah. Whatever one gets, if he is satisfied, then these are the qualities, the 18 qualities to be cultivated by the jnanis. And then the next one is mitabhuk. Mitabhuk means, we know bhokta, to eat. Mita means not too much, very limited. So regulated eating. Muni. What is a Muni means? Yeah, we know this Valmiki Muni. Yeah. Muni means one who is a poet, or actually one who is a thoughtful, one who is really, really on self-realized platform thinking and thoughtful. And Vivikta Sharanam, living in a secluded place. Shanta, peace. He should be that. Maitra, he should be friendly. Karuna, compassion. Atmavan, self-possessed, determined. Sanubandhe cha dehe asmin akurvan asad agraham. No bodily identification or attraction for bodily relationship. And then jnanena drishta tattvena prakrite purushasya cha nivritta buddhi avasthano duri bhutanya darshana. So transcends the three stages of material consciousness and seeing the reality by realized knowledge of spirit and matter. So in that way, when one is self-realized, he understands, he clearly knows what is matter, what is spirit. It is something like when we are walking, we don't want to stamp on a stool, yeah, or shit. Yeah, we were very carefully. We know what is clean, what is unclean. We don't want to go and stamp or engage ourselves in unclean. So a jnani should know this, what is correct, what is wrong, what is the energies which are good, which are not good. And then ultimately it should be Atmadrik, self-realized. So these are all the qualities of a person, a jnani, that are mentioned till verse 10. And then verse 11. But a liberated soul, this is very nice. It's saying that muktalingam sad abhasam. And this is what? Asati pratipadyate sato bandhum asach chakshu sarvanusyutam advayam. Advayam means without second. Yeah, so here is saying that a liberated soul realizes the super soul to be who? After, I mean, what is the result of a jnani? one who is liberated soul is coming to this platform is the super soul manifests as a reflection even in the false ego, and then he is the cause of the prakriti. He is the revealer of the material elements. He is the all pervading into everything, and then the super soul also is one without a second. There is no one else. What does that mean? There is, he is the one without a second means he is the supreme. Also, super soul can be understood like, okay, there is a super soul in me, there is a super soul in Sudhir Prabhu, there is super soul in everyone, there is super soul. Is this different super souls? No, it is same one soul who is all pervading in everyone. It is his energy that through which he is pervading in every place. And then comes the inferring presence of the super for the soul and super soul that comes. Here it says the word Advayam, which is used in this verse, indicates that although the Supreme Personality of God is represented in everything, including the atoms, he is not divided. It is not he is parts. He is one same. It is just like a race. Though it is same sun, the rays are still the same sun, but they are manifested in different in each and every on where the sun rays fall. And here it says the example given here is applied. The presence of the Supreme Lord can be realized. How? The example is just as the sun is realized first as a reflection on water and again as a second reflection on the wall of a room, although the sun itself is situated in the sky. The examples are, first example, just like when the sun is on the water, we know how there is sun. Just a mere reflection shows that there is a reality. As this material world, whatever we are seeing, this variegatedness, it's from Bhagavad Gita, we understand there is real world. This is temporary, but there is a permanent world. This is a place of misery, there is a place of bliss. So in that way, definitely this reflection shows that there is a reality, the Supreme Lord. And then, although sun itself is situated in the sky, that is the example. And the next, in the 12th, the same thing is further explained in the 13th. The self-realized soul is thus reflected first in the threefold misery, the threefold ego, and then in the body, senses, and mind. What does this mean? This is telling the conditioned soul thinks I am this body, but a liberated soul thinks I am not this body, I am spirit soul. This I am is called ego or identification of self. I am this body, or everything in the relationship to the body is mine, is called false ego. But when one is self-realized and thinks that he is an eternal servant of the Lord, that identification is a real ego. One conception is in the darkness of threefold qualities of material and nature, and the other one is in the pure state of goodness called Suddha Sattva or Vasudeva. When we say that we give up our ego, this means that we give up our false ego, but real ego is always present. So it's not that we are the perfection is to commit what is it called, spiritual suicide of giving up our identity, but to really understand that giving up the false identity with this world, connection with this world. When one is reflected through the material contamination of the body and mind in the false identification, he is conditioned state. So that is the understanding. And Satyadrik, by understanding of the pure soul, one can see everything as the reflection of the Supreme Lord. The example given here is a conditioned soul sees a very beautiful rose and he thinks that the nice aromatic flower should be used for his own sense gratification. This is one kind of vision, isn't it? Whenever we see nice flower, we think, oh, it's so beautiful. It is after all this whole nature. Yeah, this everything is for me. Just like a person who is who indulges in meat eating, he thinks, yeah. Even there are religions who say, after all, when Lord has created us, He also created food supply for us. What is that food supply? Meat. To maintain us, Lord has created animals? No. He maintained those animals. Actually, we are also those animals in the past lives or in previous lives. And we were not just because we are to be out a food supply chain for some humans. No. This is one kind of vision. That the flower is there. This flower is mine. After all, I did it. I have gardened it. The flower has come. It's for me. No. If you see in Tirupati, it is strictly forbidden to use flowers for one own self. There will be flower people who make garlands and sell, but the goal is that those flowers. It's said that who is the master? It is Balaji, Govinda. Govinda means one who is satisfying all the senses. Not only that, uh, it is that one who is the reservoir of all the pleasures. So, which means if one want to offer service, it is the real person is Govinda. Uh, so that is one. But the liberated soul, the same flower as a reflection of the Supreme Lord, he thinks this beautiful flower is made possible by the superior energy. Therefore, it belongs to the Supreme Lord and should be utilized in his service. These are two kinds of visions. With the correct vision, one can engage everything in the service of the Lord. It is stated in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that one who has engaged everything in his vital energy, I mean his vital energy, his wealth, his intelligence, and his words in the service of Lord, hmm, uh, he is considered to be Satyadrik, self-realized. Such a man has understood things as they are. So, so that is the understanding of a devotee. And then this verse is saying that although a devotee appears to be merged in the five material elements, the objects of material enjoyment, the material senses, and the material mind, and the material intelligence, he is understood to be awake and to be freed from the false ego. So a devotee is also in this world, devotee is also in Germany, a devotee is also in a city, in his home. He is also taking food, he is also drinking, he is also sleeping. But although a devotee appears to be merged in this, but he is completely detached. It is to be understood that uh, he is understood to be awake and to be freed from the false ego. Why? Because he is practicing Yukta Vairagya. Where is that? In this matter, but even while merged in the 24 elements of matter, he can keep his individuality as the eternal servant of the Lord, either in the spiritual nature or in the material nature. Such a servitor is to be considered liberated soul. That is the explanation of authorities, and it is confirmed in this verse that if one engages in devotion in this world, he is a devotee. He doesn't have to do all this work and then go there and then start practice devotion. He can do devotion in this so that he can practice akarma in this life. And then about the false ego, although he can feel his existence vividly, he thinks that he is lost and feels distressed, like a person who lost his wealth. So a devotee, uh, jiva who's free from material covering, he thinks like that okay, I am lost. But because of disappearance of ego during the state of deep sleep, he falsely takes himself to be lost, like a man who has lost his fortune and feels distress, thinking himself to be lost. Uh, na Nashtavitta Ivatura. Here, a person who has lost a great sum of money may think that he is lost, but actually he is not lost. Only his money is lost. But due to his absorption in money or identification with money, he thinks that he is lost. Similarly, when we falsely identify with matter as our field of activity, we think that we are also lost. As soon as a person is awakened, he thinks that no, it's my real position is servitor, so nothing is there to lose. A living entity can never be lost. When one forgets his identity in deep sleep, he becomes absorbed in dreams, and he may think himself a different person, but actually his identity is intact. This concept of being lost is due to false ego. The Mayavadi philosophers concept of becoming one with the Supreme Lord is another symptom of being lost in the false ego. One may falsely claim that he is the Supreme Lord, but actually he is not. This is the last snare of Maya. Anyway, so we proceed. But what happens when he becomes a devotee? Evam pratyavam shrasav atmanam pratipadyate sahankarasya dravyasya yo vasatamnam anugraha. So now what happens when by mature understanding one can realize his individuality, then the situation he accepts under false ego becomes manifest to him. So this is what will happen, that that he is pure individual soul by material and mature understanding, then the situation he accepts under the false ego becomes manifest to him. Then he understands, whatever I am thinking that I am that minister, I am this, I am that, so and so, so and so, all these he try to understand, it is not reality. Now it is said, Ishavasyam idam sarvam, everything exists on the energy of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, here. Ultimately, the money is the property of the Supreme Lord, and therefore there is no question of it being lost. But as long as one falsely thinks, I am the enjoyer, I am the Lord, this concept of life continues, and one remains conditioned. As soon as this false ego is eliminated, one is liberated. And what is that? That is mukti. That is the real position. And then Devahuti is asking questions. How is it liberation possible? When we are saying that there is so much like energy, power, and everything is so much strong, Purusham Prakritim Brahman Namimuchyati Karhichit. Karhichit means at any time. At any time, is there a chance that he can be free? He's asking. Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is there separate possible? It's not possible, na? It's just like yesterday that Prasandar Prabhu was giving the example of a clip. There is this clips, two clips are together, both are holding each other. Here we are holding to material nature. The soul is, and if we don't leave it, first of all we have to leave, and also the material energy also have to leave. Both have to leave, then only we are free. Here Devahuti is asking, is there any possibility like that? When you are saying there is energy with full power, full flow, full influencing, then how can one be free? So, and if the soul himself is interested, there is no question of material nature leaving. So how to be free? Is it possible? This is our question. And then comes the next question, which is this fear. This fear is very, very serious thing. As there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. And then she is justifying because of that there is there any question of one getting freedom? What is that? Akartum karma bandhoyam purushasya yad ashraya guneshu, because he is totally wrapped in these gunas. Satsu prakrite kaivalyam teshva adha katham. How can he get freedom from kaivalyam? Means freedom from the bondage. Is it really possible? And then finally the question comes, okay, even if you want to do, what is there? There is a sense of fear. Kvachit, in a certain case, kvachit tattvamarsena nivrittam bhayam ulbhavanam anivritta nimittatvat punah pratyavatistate. What is happening? Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into fundamental principles, it may still appear again, since its cause has not ceased. So, in that way, even if the great fear of bondage is sometimes avoided by just some speculation, no, I am not this body, I think this suffering is caused because of this, I should control my breath and all those things by speculative means, if one follows, avoided by Sankhya, inquiry about fundamental principles, it may still reappear since its cause has not ceased. So that way, what is happening? There is always this uh, fear in our back of our mind. Oh, filal abhi to now I am engaging myself in devotion. Okay, by losing lot of opportunities, I could have gone to Australia. I could have gone to that America. I would have earned double, triple, whatever. But no, I'm practicing Krishna consciousness now, and I'm losing. But I'm gaining some bhakti. But what, can I do it forever? Is there a guarantee that I'll be doing this forever? No. And that fear, what to do with that fear? These are the questions of Devahuti. And then Kapila Muni is saying, Tivra Bhakti. By practicing Tivra Bhakti, then it's possible. What is that? One can get liberation by intense practice that includes Tivra Bhakti, Tivraya Bhaktya Chiram. Chiram means always. Chirayu, right? Long life. Uh, so one just constantly continues to practice, hmm, and without desire for what? True results. Sometimes we think that, oh, by bhakti I can get freedom from my pains and losses. Yeah, animitta, animitta nimittena, uh, and then and by executing prescribed uses swadharmena and sruta sambhrataya, nourishment by hearing about me, perfect knowledge and detachment by practicing bhakti with what? With jnana and vairagya. Jnanena, vairagyena, and then tapo yuktena, yogena, atma samadhina, austerity, yoga, and self absorption. By that, one can get the perfection. What is that? By thus practicing seriously all this, the influence of Prakriti over Jiva can be removed. And what is the metaphor given here? Just as wooden sticks, we know that when wooden sticks are rubbed against each other, then it creates fire. This is what forest fire happens. Just like that. But the fire, what it will do after that? It will burn the whole forest. It will burn also those wood pieces. Whatever was the cause of the fire, that fire will also consume them. So this is the example. Just like whatever the senses which are causing us this bondage, just by using these senses, by practicing the bhakti without any duplicity, animitta matta, animitta nimittena, just to be observer, not the feel sense of doership. So by that one can achieve this result. And Kapila Muni is answering this question about fear, which is about that Devahuti is saying there is also this fear. Hmm? What if this reappearance of fear happens? Uh, uh, um, Kapila Muni is saying that by discovering the faultiness of his desiring to lord over it, uh, he want to always lord over the Prakriti. This is always there, and therefore giving it up. If a jiva is understanding that my real problem is to become master, if one is really focused on that, there is no problem of fear. Why? Because he is thinking that there is nothing to lose. If I am doing something, by the grace of the Lord only I am being maintained. It is not by something else, it's not by my own strength. Then he becomes independent and stands in his own glory. Such a person of discrimination is like an awakened person who is not affected by the dream. In a dream, we may have so many things, but reality is reality. The reality is not that we are this body, which is actually the dream, but the reality is that I am the servant of the Lord. And when one gets to this understanding by practicing bhakti in true spirit, then he is successful. And Prakriti cannot harm such person. Prakriti cannot harm such person. Why? Because um, because he knows the absolute truth. We are scared because we think, no, by taking shelter of this I'll be happy, by taking shelter of something else I'll be happy. In that way we are changing from one door to the other, just like politicians. But when we know that all these people are bogus, they are not the real people who will give everything. If there is a recession, it is not they will give. If there is shortage of rain, they cannot do anything. It is the Supreme Lord. Kvachit. What is that? In certain case. Tattva avamashrena. By reflecting upon nivrittam bhayam. Oh, no, I'm reading 20. Oh, 26. Yeah. So here is saying, the influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul, even though he engages in material activities. Why? Because he knows the truth of absolute, and his mind is fixed on the Supreme Lord. So these are the things. Vidita tattvasya, yeah, yunjato mai manasam atma arama. So in that way he is free. And what is the state that he achieves? These are summarized in the last 3 verses, where he says, such a yogi engages in self-realization for many lifetimes with complete detachment from everything. What is that? So here it says, when a person thus engages in devotional service and self-realization for many lifetimes, he becomes completely reluctant to enjoy any of these material planets, even up to the highest planets called Brahmaloka. This is, and then what is that he will do? He will attain, after giving up the present material body, the mystic devotee goes to that transcendental abode and never comes back. And finally, when a perfect yogi's attention is no longer attracted to the byproducts of mystic power, we are telling about jnana mishrama bhakti. When we have knowledge, we think that okay, by practicing yoga or jnana or dhyana mishrama bhakti, one may think I am getting all the energies now. Now I am powerful. I can do some comfort for myself. There is again a pitfall. But a perfect yogi is no longer attracted to the byproducts of mystic powers, which are manifestation of external energy. His progress towards me becomes unlimited, and thus the power of death cannot overcome him. We have this sense of death, the sense of fear, all this because of limitedness. When we know that we are eternal, we have the power, we are so powerful that we can serve the Lord unlimitedly. With that awakening, one becomes self-realized and perfect. Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for patiently hearing. Are there any questions? Now it's your time to talk.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the session. I have one question. I mean, it is maybe the understanding is clear, but I just wanted to share. So basically, Prabhuji, in this world, in this material world, there are so many philanthropists who are doing service, but still, if they are attached to their results that, okay, I am doing service, or they are not doing this great service in the name of the Lord, so they will for sure take a next birth. Correct.
So what you're saying is people who are engaged in mode of goodness,
Yes,
what
Prabhuji.
happened?
Correct.
They have to go through the cycle.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. These are, I mean, I'll say these are like compared to like chains, right? What are that? Guna means a rope. Guna also meaning is a rope, a kind of a rope which binds. Whether it is a iron rope or is it a silver or a golden rope, yeah. Still, if your leg is tied to it, you can't go anywhere.
Okay, Prabhuji. So basically, mode of goodness, maybe it is required at the start of one's journey as a devotee, but gradually, a pure devotee means he should also come out of the. I mean, he shall not be under the spell of material nature, including mode of goodness. Correct, Prabhuji? Is my understanding correct?
Can you repeat again?
So a devotee shall not be under the spell of material nature. That means any modes of material nature. Correct? A pure devotee. Or the highest level of devotee.
Okay.
So that means including mode of goodness. That means maybe initially mode of goodness is required, or it's required for one to start his devotee journey. But gradually, when he attains sadhana and Krishna consciousness, he will also come out of the spell of any mode of material nature. Is my understanding correct?
Yeah, it is something like if you are in a school, right? Yeah, you're in class 7, and then if you are in class 8, does it mean that you are in class 7?
No, Prabhuji.
But you definitely took support of class 7 because that gave you
Yes.
qualification to sit in class 8. So this is one thing. So one has to come out from the mode of ignorance, from mode of passion and mode of goodness, and also come to a platform of mode of pure goodness. This is a gradual way, yeah, which is mostly a common way. Sadhana bhakti is really we follow rules and regulations. But if you take example of Ratnakar, or in the case of the hunter, yeah, or Murugari, who became Valmiki, yeah, he was not in the platform of goodness, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
He was not in the platform of goodness. So it is said that when one takes to Krishna consciousness, then automatically he will imbibe the mode of goodness. It is not that no, first let me clean myself, let me really concentrate, focus, and then only I will practice bhakti. No, by practicing bhakti, whatever one needs, yeah, which is automatically this compassion and all those qualities which are bunch for the uh, mode of goodness, right? To eat properly, to regulate oneself properly, everything is automatically coming as part of becoming a devotee. So explicit endeavor is not required to be in the mode of goodness if one wants to become a devotee, because it is so top, automatically everything is come. It is something like um, um, we know this, right? So 100 rupee note also has everything, yeah, whether you take a 50 euros, I mean, yeah, so everything is included in it. It's a one full package. You don't have to collect every 10 euros and then make it 100. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So it is not like, okay, let me purify my uh, karma. When I purify my karma by doing all the charities, this is what is typically done sometimes, right?
Correct.
People, why do they donate? They want to clear their bad karma. Why do they? I mean, there are so many. Why? I sometimes even feel, hey, one is donating a small piece of land and they want to have a name of what? Memorial. That people should remember. Yeah, the data. I don't know whether the donor who is maybe he may not be interested, or but yeah, we want that our people should talk about us. Yeah, in 50 years back, so and so king or so and so my ancestors have done that. Hmm?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
So that is what is happening in the mode of not goodness. That is mode of goodness and passion, or even even to the extreme of ignorance. That hey, if I don't do, no one would have done it. Taking a pride of everything and not doing anything on oneself. Yeah. So,
Yes,
but
Prabhuji.
when one becomes a devotee, then he is already understanding his position. It is as if like you are given a special you have a what is it called cataract, yeah, through which we can't see things properly. But just imagine the doctor has removed that layer, and then you start seeing everything as it is. That is bhakti. Yeah. It is not a patchwork. It is not a patchwork where you can maybe some temporary relief by being in mode of goodness. Yeah, mode of goodness is also only temporary relief from suffering due to passion and ignorance. But that is also where can be quite harmful, right? When you know now, okay, uh, death is at a corner, can come and harm. Yeah. If you know the goal of life, we will work on it. But if you don't even think, no, no, no. Uh, I remember, Apu Prabhu, you remember? Once Shantarab Gaurang Prabhu asked, when he came, from Bangladesh, very, very new, from Bangladesh he came, and in Simhachalam he met Kadamkanan Maharaj, and he asked, Maharaj, uh, it is so nice here, very peaceful. Yeah. Uh, that in Bangladesh now, even every moment I used to remember Narasimha Dev, yeah, because protect me from accidents, protect me from that, protect me from this, so many things I always constantly pray. And Maharaj said, okay, yeah, there those things are visible, yeah, but here they may not be visible, but here is also even very dangerous.
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, that is the reality. Whether we see or not, that is secondary, but there is it's not that okay in this. As soon as we came to the reason why I brought this example is we may think okay, living in a slum area is very harmful, let me go to a middle class or higher class or upper class, any class, it doesn't matter that there is all happiness, only happiness. Yeah, a rich can become a beggar. We have seen it's not not something we are waiting for proofs for that. You see, we have seen so many. Yeah, Dinesh Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, I mean, thank you for a detailed explanation.
Yeah, being in mode of goodness is also a trap.
Yes, Prabhuji. I mean,
Yeah,
this chapter really explains the significance.
yeah,
Because maybe before we used to think that okay, great personalities like Mother Teresa or someone maybe who have done greatest service. I was also just discussing with Varsha. Maybe they also may need to take their next birth to maybe enjoy their good karma, but they will not come out of this cycle of birth and death
yeah,
because.
yeah. The material Lord is honoring such material efforts.
Hmm,
Yeah, so Lord is providing that. Though we see it's a complete selfless service, right? If you see Mother Teresa, what she did was a complete
yes,
selfless service. She was not thinking anything for herself. She kind of dissolved herself into that spirit of service. She has no other identity.
yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. But still what? Because it's not being what? Devotion to the Lord. Of
Yes,
course, I mean,
Prabhuji.
if you see that is also devotion. It didn't come just like that.
Hmm,
She's a very strict follower of Christianity.
hmm.
I think that's what, right? When she came from Portugal, right?
Yugoslavia. Yeah.
Yugoslavia. Okay. Yeah. So she was nun.
Yes, Prabhu.
So that spirit of compassion came from devotion only.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I cannot speak her where did she end up. Yeah. But as long as a work without God consciousness, yeah, is pure materialistic.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. Thank you. I understood the importance.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, sir, Prabhu.
Actually, based on that, we submitted one assignment in Bhakti Shastri. That is there any necessity of the Saptagun for doing Bhakti or is it not? So it was actually assignment. So of course you elaborate everything. I'm just writing one line where it was actually an assignment we submitted. It was actually mentioned that to start the bhakti life, it is not necessary in which guna we are. In any guna, you can start a bhakti. But to sustain in bhakti life or to keep progressing in the bhakti life, at least we have to be in the Saptaguna state. Because in Saptaguna state is the state where every good quality is normally sustained. It's called the Sarva Dareshu Jnana. In every Dar, normally Gyan starts. So there is a things. I mean, in any state we can start, but when you will be in the bhakti life, we should have to be very careful that at least we are in Saptagun, in our nature and everything, so that it will help us to keep progressing.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, these assignments are saving, right? So many things are on a practical level, how to apply them. I don't know. I'm just trying to find my assignment, which I've submitted. I don't know. Is this the one? No, I don't find it yet. But anyway, I mean, the essence is the same. Yeah, it is that the mode of recitation took, and I think this is the one. Yeah. So yeah, in this connection, in Bhagavad Gita, there is Sattvam Rajas Tamas iti guna prakriti sambhava nipadnanti mahabaho dehi dehinam avyayam. So with that reference, we see that okay, this one has to lift oneself to mode of goodness. Now the person in the mode of goodness is conditioned by happiness. Yeah, Dinesh Prabhu. What is the conditioning in this is? Yeah, he is granted happiness. Now happiness can be very complacent, right? It can affect. I don't know. Let me share this. Please move this window away from the shared one. Okay. Stop sharing. Share. Yeah. Let me know if you can see.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So the mode of goodness is better than the mode of passion and ignorance. This is because the goodness is purer than others. Huh? But still, this is a kind of a bondage. The person in the mode of goodness is conditioned to happiness. The performance of charity, sacrifice, penance must be done in the mode of goodness. That is fine. But I mean, better than doing in that. And then here, a living entity like scientist, philosopher, poet, situated in the mode of goodness may feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. They are proud due to material happiness, are bound and attracted to work in the mode of, and do not look for liberation. Yeah. Now you think, hey, जो मुझे चाहिए happiness मुझे मिल गया है, I don't have to work out anything. That one who takes directly to Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all the three modes of material nature. This is because such a being is able to transcend three modes and can become free from birth and death. One should therefore take to Krishna consciousness. I mean, anyway, I have just concluded why. But there is also these examples. And as Apu Prabhu was mentioning, yeah, this mode of goodness, what is the benefit of being in that? So that one is free from all sinful reactions. Those who are serious about human life should take to the mode of goodness, and in good association, transcend the modes and become situated in Krishna consciousness. So even if we want to become Krishna conscious, our suitable environment is at least to be in the mode of goodness people. So hence it is necessity to cultivate a mode of goodness for practicing Krishna consciousness. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Suppose when we say the pure goodness, does it mean the absence of ignorance and passion? So does it mean that 100% goodness, or is
Yes.
it above that?
Correct. No, it is that. Yeah. It is in material world there can never be one is in the mode of goodness, because there is always constant mixture of what do you call contamination? What is the right word? Pollution, or so to say, there is always this goodness and ignorance that is adulterating. Yeah, correct. In material world, there is no mode of goodness in the purest form, because this mode of goodness is actually adulterated by either passion or ignorance.
Okay, so when we say pure goodness, it is not under the influence of material nature. It is on
It is
transcendental
that,
level.
yeah, it is that ideal goodness. That ideal goodness is possible only outside the material influence.
Okay, which is the level of where a pure
Transcendental.
devotee
Yeah,
is related.
right.
So until one becomes a pure devotee, he is under the influence of material nature, either more goodness, maybe less ignorance, less passion. Yeah.
Yeah. That state of self-realization, which is mukti that we say, right? That is a stage where one is really convinced that I am not this body. And then exercises akarma, which is, yeah, that's why it said one can practice, one is situated in mode of pure goodness, also in the material world. Who are they? Who do not identify them as the body, which means beyond the mode of beyond the three modes of material nature.
Okay. And so the akarma can be practiced in any mode of nature, but the bhakti yoga is practiced usually on a pure goodness level. Yeah.
No,
That
the
is.
bhakti yoga itself, yeah, when we are saying karma, akarma, vikarma, these are only the way of activities that we are defining, grouping them. But actually, even in akarma, there is this bhakti only, because activity for Krishna is bhakti. And again, in that, there are different grades. Are we doing directly, indirectly, or engaging others indirectly? So, all these different grades. The topmost is one engages in the direct service of the Lord or service of the devotees. Pure action, I mean, pure pure service in action of the Lord and devotees is pure bhakti.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else has a question? Yeah, if not, then yeah, thank you very much for your time. We see us tomorrow is Sunday. Let us know. I will let you know. Yeah, because tomorrow maybe some of you may attend Bhagavatam in temple Gauradesh. I don't know if there will be live streaming from there. That's why I'm thinking whether to still go on with our Bhagavad Gita class. Most likely it will be there. Yeah, let's see. If there is a change, I'll post. पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।